Okay? Okay, remember that they are changing my voice. So I am the natural alpha logically. And obviously. And that means that in order to achieve the point of life, people have to follow me. That's what it means objectively, with real facts. No ulterior motives, no emotions, no beliefs injected, but focusing on the facts. What does nature tell us, right? How do we find our way through nature? What does it mean to follow the top martial artist ever possible through the jungle, through the forest, through the desert, through the ocean? Right? That is the direction that God and nature has shown us, objectively speaking. So when we look at this situation, you might ask, well, why don't people get that? Well, when we look at every race, right, we see that they're being conditioned by white Jew and LGBT supremacists to see things a certain way. So they're concerned with what they quote unquote have to do, right? They're finding their life in the world out of selfishness. They're saying, hey, how am I going to get X, Y, and Z? They're concerned about how they're going to get money, how they're going to get women, who's dating who to some degree. They're concerned about the image of their races. So they think subconsciously, if they acknowledge the breadcrumbs, that it gives black people the upper hand. Now bear with me here. It also affects black people when they're looking at it too, the kind of conditioning there, and they come to certain conclusions as well. Bear with me here. So they say, well, who's Tupac Shakur? Who's Obama? Who's Martin Luther King? Who's Malcolm X? Who's Shaka Zulu? Who's Shaka Zulu? Who's Nelson Mandela? Who's Marcus Garvey, right? Who are these people? What does it mean, right? What does it mean that these people have a certain way about them that goes beyond other races? And they say to themselves, like animals in nature, right? Life forms in nature. They say to themselves, what does this mean for reproduction? What does this mean for getting food? What does it mean for their ego, their self-esteem? What does it mean for honoring their ancestors? Now that's a bit tricky of a phrase there. But if you were to look at it from a secular scale, you would say, okay, yeah, but if you look at it from a universal scale, what it means to honor your ancestors, do the right thing to the best of your ability. So that's a bit more tricky there. And I want to keep this video short here. So when black people themselves look at it, it's not much different because they're a very divided group, right? And there's different types of black people, obviously. There's types within types, right? You have Jamaicans and different types of Jamaicans. You have black people born in England, America, France, okay, Africa, what have you. Some black people born in the Middle East. So you have different types of black people. And they have different ways of thinking. And so in a sense, there's a bunch of black races, not one black race. And even within the category of people who are the most like me, they feel a sort of pull toward me, but they are too much like life forms who don't understand the purpose of life. That's part of the purpose of an alpha, is he shows you the purpose of life. So I, as the King of Kings, the Alpha of all the alphas that ever were, I'm the one that's closest to God, the King of Kings, the King of Kings of King of Kings, so to speak, where God is God and above all. But these people have no business telling me how to explain it or trying to tell me. They look so stupid. When they say it's God, and trying to get me to say it in a way that downplays my role, they look so dumb. And on this issue, right, Islam, and Muslims, they flee from debate. They do not want to debate me about that because they know they lose. Even AI agrees with me. It says, if you do a thorough examination of Islam, Christ is above Muhammad. Okay? And so when you look at the white man doing it, it takes on new meaning. When you look at the Muslims doing it, there's a slightly different set of motivations. When the white Jew and LGBT community does it, they look like vampire, werewolf, colonial abominations. And they're like, well, we have our churches. They look very, very foolish and childish. They look like very failed groups of people taking that angle, that fallen angle of Satan. Shame on them, especially if they just say they're doing their job. So you've committed to it in a calculated manner. Well, that much more shame on you. Shame on you and your family. And it's more than fair when you see that they're saying to Jesus that they want me to explain things a certain way. They're saying to the King of Kings, the most noble person ever lived, that they want me to explain it a certain way. And that goes back to that part of them that is like petty. There's a complex. It's freezing up. Their brain is locking up. It's like almost like fight or flight, the limbic system. It's like they're locking up. They just can't think. They just, I can't think. They're acting like that about it. You see what I'm saying? So as we look at the point of life, again, I am the natural alpha logically and objectively speaking. Real facts. And the point of life, right? The point of life has to do with the point of life. The word point is in top scrambled. In top. Martial arts are lifestyles. Martial is marital scrambled, and I Christ and the bridegroom. Right? I point the way. To understand why you're here in the first place, you must be on the solar boat, so to speak, spiritually speaking. You must be there with me, right? Psalm 19. And for those of you who need me to cite the Bible, shame on you. You trust the people who wrote a book that your colonists, colonial oppressors gave you, more than the Son of God. That's part of why there's this massive gap between me and the rest of you. You trust people who you don't even know who they are, who wrote a book that your oppressor gave you, why they're raping people in church, why they're colonizing people still, haven't corrected the mistake, why they're still covering up who I am, why they're playing stupid about people being hooked to the machine, artificial intelligence, data centers. They're just ever so slightly touching on it as a group. Tons of, there's like over 2 billion Christians, approaching 2 billion Muslims. And they all have a very weak stance on people being hooked to a machine. That's how far removed they are from serving God. And all these rich Jews disproportionately involved in the AI, data center, robot, matrix process. But you trust their judgment more than the top martial artist ever possible. And when it comes to that very important question I always ask, you freeze up and you fail, tail tucked like the rest. If the top martial artist ever possible isn't the Son of God, then who is he?